It's about to get deep in this episode. Hey, hustlers, welcome back to another episode of Ingrid Project. And if you're asking yourself, did she just change and come back? I sure did. The lights were making me hot. And so I changed, but I am still here with my pre workout and liquid IV. Sure, welcome. Mm. So, for this episode, guys, another question for the Grammy, and I took I took a little meal break before spinning on this one because I had to write some things down, and ah it's an emotional one. And I love these questions, and this is one that I actually like to hear other people answer all the time, especially people that I look up to. And how it always helps me just understand more about them, and in some way helps me understand me a little bit more and ask myself tough questions. And so if you haven't done this exercise, do it. Why not? So the question was what I would tell my younger self. Now, there were many things that came to mind, but I narrowed it down to three. And I'm going to go into them a little bit because I think that these might be of value to you if depending on where you are in your life and what you might be struggling with. Because, guys, like, if there's something that I have learned, is that and it's so funny because I think I say this in every video. I'm like, oh, if there's something I've learned, and you're probably like, Ingrid, okay, what else? But guys, something that I'm very aware of is that sometimes when we go through issues and things in our life, we kind of default to why am I the only one this happens to? And it's almost like having a victim mentality, but something that has really helped me is realizing I am not the first person. Like, it's impossible, it's impossible for me to be the first person to go through this scenario in my life. And yeah, we're all unique, have our own things and like our own lives, and every scenario is going to be a little bit different. But a lot of times we all struggle with very similar themes, very similar things in our life, and chances are that someone else has struggled with this, someone else has made a video about it, someone else has written about it, and therefore there are resources out there um to help you get through this. And like, I want to be one of those resources, so that's why I chose these three things, and I want to talk about it a little bit with you. So let's get into it. All right, so three things I would tell my younger self. um Number one, you will fall in love again. Now, this one was very interesting for me to write out because as I was writing it out, I realized I wanted to tell my younger self this in two different scenarios. One, um, one would have been like when I had like my first love, my first boyfriend. I think a lot of us can probably relate to that. Like the first person you're with, the first breakup you go through really does feel like the end of the world because you're experiencing something new in your life and you have no idea how to cope or how to deal because you've never felt this before. You've never had to cope before. Um and you think like there's no way I'm ever going to love somebody again like this. There's no way I'm ever going to feel this again. And then you break up with that person or they break up with you or whatever. And at some point you do find it again. And it may be after a while, maybe after a few people or whatever. So that was like my first scenario. But like my first love was a very puppy love. Like I was very young, like that was definitely not going anywhere, and everyone around me could see that like 1500 miles away except me because I was young and naive, and naivete like took charge of the story, right? But I wanted to tell myself this again. Who I would say was like my second love in my life when I was a little bit older. It was a much longer, more serious relationship. And after that, I really, really did think this is it, right? Like I'm never gonna feel this again. It's all over. And not like it's all over, but I kind of took that scenario. A lot of people say like, oh, you only have like one true love in your life, and you're only gonna feel that once, and you never feel it again. And guys, I am so pleased to announce from my singlehood. This is me speaking from my singlehood that is simply not true. You will fall in love again. You will have another love in your life. There's no, in my opinion, there's no such thing as a soulmate. There are several hundred, probably hundreds and thousands of different people that you could have a wonderful and magnificent life with. The story is just going to be a little bit different. But you will fall in love again. And I am really happy that I've had the opportunity in my life to fall in love more than once. And it's been different. And I think one of the most beautiful things that I've experienced in life, and it's also been a really difficult truth to accept, guys, is that we don't get to own people. We get to appreciate moments for what they are and relationships for what they are. And sometimes it has a very clear expiration date, and sometimes it's not so clear. And so you make the most of that time that you have with that person, and you're intentional. And there will be times that push comes to shove, and it is time to let go. Like, not everyone in your life is meant to be there forever, but it doesn't mean that every end has to be this chaotic, destructive, bad thing. Like, you can let things come to an end in a very mature way, and it still hurts like a mofo, okay? And going through like breakups, I'm not saying like go out here, fall in love with everybody, go through a million breakups. No, like, protect your heart, protect your emotions, protect your peace. um but sometimes it will happen, and it can either happen by choice, when you meet someone and you fall in love with them, but it can't last for X or Y reasons. It could be a myriad of things, like distance, where you are in your life, age difference, um, so many other factors. Or it will be something that fades out, and life circumstances will make you guys have to make that decision to let each other go. So I would tell myself, you will fall in love again. And both of those scenarios, from like my first love, puppy love, and two, from like another, another person that was in my life that I had a more serious relationship with, that I guess like took me a really long time to accept, recover, and move forward. And after that, I did fall in love again, and it was amazing for the time that it lasted. And it's given me the confidence, like every single time you go through a relationship, through a breakup, or just through any challenge in your life, it makes you better equipped to go through it the next time. And um it can be just as scary, but falling in love again it's exciting, and you do get to feel those things again with someone, and it's a new experience, and it's beautiful. So guys, if you're out there going through it, recent breakup, old breakup, um, or you're single, know that you can fall in love again. And I will say this louder for the people in the back. If you're with someone and, obviously, let me give the surgeon's warning. I'm not an expert. I have no idea what I'm talking about. These are just like my opinions and notions and musings. If you're with someone, guys, and you are not in love, it probably isn't going to happen. And if you're not feeling these things that you have felt before in any capacity, it's probably not going to happen. A lot of people, like, they'll meet someone and that person like meets criteria, but the chemistry, the spark isn't there, and they're like, oh, maybe I can allow myself to fall in love with this person. And in some cases that's true, but this isn't part of my list, but I want to cover it. Like, guys, two things: the checklist is not enough, and two, love in and of itself is not enough. So let me talk about that. So you can meet someone who meets all the things on your checklist, right? But there might not be any chemistry, any spark there. And if physical sexual attraction is important to you, like, I know that there's people that intimacy in that way is not a part of their relationships, and that's fine. But I think for a lot of other people it is. If that chemistry and that romance, that spark isn't there, it's likely never going to be. And you deserve that. And if you want that, please, by all means, for the sake of both of you guys, let that person go so they can find someone for themselves that finds them attractive. And the same for you. And if it's the other way around where you know the other person isn't attracted to you, do yourself a favor and find someone who wants to, like, you know, who wants to be with you in all of the ways. So because guys, like, that's really what differentiates a relationship from a friendship. It's like that romantic aspect. It's the heat that you feel like when you're with each other. It's like the healthy butterflies that you feel in your stomach, the you know, the little like shiver down your spine when you hold someone's hand for the first time. Like, these are the things that I'm saying that I was like, oh, I'm never gonna feel this again. And then I did, but I also went through facets where I'm like, I maybe had that with someone and I didn't feel it, and that made me think like I'm just never gonna feel this again. And then um I'll get into this in another video, but oh shit. Like, the mind is a remarkable thing, and guys, like, we create our own reality. So don't let that be your reality. Find someone who loves you, love them back. And then on the other thing of like love not being enough, let's go back to that. You may also meet someone who you have crazy chemistry with, like the sex is on fire. Um, you have all the, you know, physically, chemically, like the attractiveness is there. Maybe you guys even have like a very deep, intimate connection intellectually and can go on and on for hours talking and spending time together, but they don't meet anything on the checklist. Like, age difference, your values in your life, like where you see yourself. And guess what, guys? Like, those things, what's on the checklist is what makes things go the distance. Because guess what? We're not all going to be looking hot and sexy the rest of our lives. And at some point, probably in a relationship, um that attractiveness and whatnot takes a back seat, and it's the other things that keep a relationship going. And guys, like, if you're gonna invest your life, like your time, your most precious commodity, with someone, make sure that you are adding as much value into their life as they are adding into yours. And that does mean the checklist. Now, you guys are probably thinking like, "Oh my god, what checklist is she talking about?" Blah 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 blah. I'm not talking about like a 5-page document of like the perfect man. I am talking about, you guys already know where I'm going with this. The top 5 values, the 5 values in your life. But in this case, it would be like the top 10 values of what you need in a relationship in order for it to work for you. And there are exercises that you can do of this online. Um, Go back and watch my values video. I go into it a little bit more in depth, and that may be able to give you some clarity. And as you go on dates and as you meet people, and even if you're in a relationship, if you make that list and you go down through it, believe me, it'll bring you some really good clarity on, is this going anywhere? Is this someone worth investing my time into? Is this where I want to spend my time? Plain and simple. So, okay, that was a long answer. I could have probably just made a separate video for that. But okay, what I would tell my younger self: you will fall in love again. Second, you will become who you want to be. When I was a lot younger, and I want to say like middle school, high school, I had this idea of who I wanted to be. And a big part of that was showing up as my most confident self. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm entirely not there yet, but I am so proud of the person that I've become. But when I was younger, I really didn't know how I was gonna get there. Like, I was socially awkward. I didn't have friends. Like a lot of friends, I wasn't popular. I was very, I was very book smart. I was nerdy. I was a teacher's pet. I had a few close friends. But there was like so much more to me, and people just didn't see beyond the smarts. And I was intimidated by showing up as like this confident, sexy person, feminine woman that I knew that I could be. And it's like I always wanted that, but it's almost like I didn't believe in myself, right? And now I am her. I show up as her, and it took me a long time of showing up as her to quote unquote become her. And I know you guys have heard this before, like people say like, oh, you have to show up as her before you become her. And guys, like, that could not be more true. I really had to just one day decide, hey, I want to be this person, so I'm gonna fake it until I make it. And then one day it just became, well, it's not just like one day, but over time it became second nature. And now it's like, it's engraved in my mind, it's engraved into my lifestyle, into my routine. And I look back and I'm like, damn, I did it. I became the person I wanted to become, and the evolution continues. There's so many more things that I want to work on, and and continuing to build my confidence by like making videos like this. I finally, after 20 something years, finally decided to sign up for a dance class because I love to dance. Um, and I do it behind closed doors where no one can judge me. So I'm like, hey, I really want to learn how to do this and be comfortable doing it in front of people and just not caring, even if I'm not good at it. But it's like continuing to build the confidence, continuing to build that muscle. And yes, that's the second thing I would tell myself, because gosh, I was so scared of that like when I was younger. And I'm glad that I'm no longer scared of that. And the last one, first generation people, people with traumas, single parents, Latinos, minorities, take a deep breath, because this one, mm-mm. Oh, Lord bless it. The last thing I would tell myself was, you will figure out the cycle and you will break it, and then you'll transform into the person that you want to be and not the person you've had to be. So this one has some layers. Figuring out the cycle and breaking it. So I'm not sure if I've covered this before, but I started going to therapy when I was in college. Thank you to my alma mater, UNCG provided 1 year of free therapy to its students, and I think they still do. And by the way, if you're in college, community college, university, or taking any higher education program, find out if this is a resource that you have to you. Like, it's free, and also therapy is pretty expensive. So if you can get it for free, why not do it? And I went to therapy for a completely unrelated reason, but it sent me down a rabbit hole for the next 7 years of going to therapy and working on myself. And it helped me identify all of these cycles, like toxic cycles in my life, from how that weren't even my fault, right? Just a byproduct of the environment that I grew up in, the things that I saw, and the things that internally, I guess, like, set these own patterns for me to repeat, right? And I figured out the cycles. I broke the cycles. And most importantly, I think what I really wanted to tell my younger self is that I would have the opportunity to become the person I wanted to be and not the person I had to be. And like, here's the thing, guys. A lot of times when you grow up and you go through some traumatic experiences in your life, you build this armor, and it makes you such a stronger and such a resilient person. But a lot of times, showing up in that way in your life comes from a survivor mindset. It comes from, I am this way because I've always had to be this way. But when you're able to peel back the layers and decide, who would I want to be if this isn't who I had to be? Listen, like, your entire garden will just continue to grow the wildest flowers of all the colors and all the thorns, and it's the most amazing thing that can happen. And for me, I think I allowed myself to finally step into that. Like, once I graduated college and I got my big girl job, finances definitely had a lot to do with this. Leaving the environment that I grew up in, leaving what I knew, and really starting just like a fresh page in my life made a world of a difference. But here's the catch, guys. You bring the baggage with you. You can move somewhere. You can have a new relationship. You can cut your hair off, and you can do all these like transformative things. But until you don't take the time to work on what's in your heart and in your mind, and you recognize the patterns, and you're able to say, hi, I'm the problem, it's me, and do the hard work to change things, ain't nothing ever gonna change in your life, and you will not have that peace. And for me, like being able to um finally just become the person that I wanted to be and not the person that I had to be, because I no longer had to show up as a survivor, and this like survivor mindset. um that is just like one of the most beautiful things, and I wish I could tell my younger self that, because there were definitely times when I was younger where I thought like, this is the end all be all, like this is going to be my life, I'm stuck here, there's really nothing I can do about it. But something in the back of my head never let me give up, and I'm glad that I didn't. The work isn't done, but I'm finally at a place in my life with so much peace because I did the hard work. And there's this picture that I saw a little while ago, and I'll end with this. And it was talking about like, when you go to therapy, you have all your demons in a closet, right? And you're carrying this bag of like your demons with you all the time. And then going to therapy is like one of the most brutal things you could do, because you have to relive all the bullshit that you've been through. You have to work through it and do the homework and accept things that are not right with you, and do the hard work that it is to change yourself. And you fail a billion times, and you disappoint people, and you disappoint yourself, and you disappoint your therapist, and you get off the wagon and you get back on the wagon, and like, it's a process. But then when you finally go through that, it's not like you forget your demons. It's not like they stop being part of who you are. Like, I'm very glad and even grateful, right, for all the good and the bad things in my life, because that is a big reason why I am this hustler and this person that perseveres and that keeps on going. It's because of all the bullshit I've been through. Like, it's made me like tough as nails. But now, instead of just carrying my demons in a bag over my shoulders and like allowing them, I guess, to make me stronger to do this hard work, now they go with me everywhere I go, but they're not on my shoulders. Like, we just all hold each other's hands. Like, my demons will always be a part of me, but now I've made peace with them, and I can talk to them, and I can have conversations, and I can recognize things, and I can change things in my life without it being like this thing that I'm carrying on my shoulders that's consistently weighing me down and slowing down my momentum. And so if I could tell my younger self something, it would be those three things. You will fall in love again. You will become who you want to be. And three, you will figure out the cycle. You will break the cycle, and you will transform into the person you want to be and not the person you've had to be. So I hope you enjoyed this video. This was definitely a little bit more personal. Um, but I want to challenge you to think about maybe three things you would tell your younger self. And if you're quite young, if you're like, I don't know, I haven't even made it yet, I would challenge you to think, what are three things I want my older self to tell me? What are three things that you want to be able to look back to in your future, like your future self, to be able to look at your past self and say, hey, we made it. For example, like if you're in college, you want to tell yourself like, hey, we did graduate, or we did fulfill this, or we did accomplish this goal, or whatever it may be. And then think about what you need to do to make that happen. So yes, thank you for bearing with me. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And yeah, Ingrid_project is the Grammy. You can drop your questions in there. I'll make more videos. And yeah, stay tuned for season 2. It'll be another 24 episode drop. And yeah, I hope this adds value into your life. If you got a laugh, some value, like, comment, whatever it is that you want to comment. Don't comment, share, engage with the video. You guys know what to do. All right, y'all. Again, thank you so much. Love you guys. Keep on hustling.